Welcome
Don't
back,
mess up.
Oh, here we go. All right. Welcome back, my friends, to the 100th episode of the Suited Kings podcast. Today we have a very special guest, Mr. Andrew Lichtenberger, aka LuckyChewy, joining us. Andrew boasts 23.4 million in live earnings with a career best score of 2.8 million. He's a WPT champion, an EPT champion, a WSOP champion. I mean, a list that seems forever long. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me, guys.
And thank you for coming on
Thanks
the
for being on.
podcast. I wanted to start off this podcast by congratulating you actually on becoming a new father.
Thank you. Yeah, it's really the best gift life has offered me so far. I mean, it's just endless fun. Are either of you dads?
I am. So Wes is not, and this is actually my first time disclosing this, but I am expecting my first as well.
Oh, congrats. Yeah. When's the due date?
In February. Mid to late February. Yep.
Amazing.
So got a baby boy on the way. I'm very excited about that. And I saw that you also.
I don't think I knew it was a boy.
Did I not tell you that?
I don't think I knew that.
Oh man, yes. Very excited and looking forward to it. I might have to hit you up, Andrew, for some father coaching.
Yeah, please do. And send me your address and I'll send you a gift.
I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
So also, I wanted to take a moment before we get into everything to reflect on the moment here. We're at episode 100 now of this podcast. This idea started about 2 years ago in a hotel room on a poker trip where Wes was like, we should start a podcast. And we listened to a lot of poker podcasts driving, on our trip, on our vacations, on our way to play. We started and we stayed consistent with it. And now we're here 100 episodes later, 2 years later. And I mean, and to top it all off, we got Andrew Lichtenberger to join us on that. So thank you so much for being here. And it's just cool to see how opening that first door of opportunity and being consistent can lead to something like this. I think that is really cool.
100%. Yeah, I was talking with someone recently about how, in life, you can just do things. Like, there's no one holding you back, really. It's, yeah, a lot of opportunity exists. So I commend you guys. I think it's great. And, you guys seem cool. I like the vibe. And as a lover of Suited Kings, how was I going to turn down the opportunity?
I appreciate
Max
that.
came up with the idea for the name. It was just brilliant. Like, I think he had fallen asleep in our hotel room and I was like finishing an online tournament and he just pops up. He's like, write this down. Suited Kings. That's the name of the podcast.
It's good.
And the history was started. Yes. Okay.
I actually have a question that I didn't prepare, but just based on what you said there, like,
yeah.
Do you find that sometimes people just don't realize that in life you can just do things? Like, sure, it might feel like there are things holding you back, but you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, I think people realize that they can, but they often create reasons that they shouldn't or that they eventually won't. And I think a lot of it comes down to like personal belief systems, the way people define things, tolerance for risk, any number of things really. But ultimately, it's some sort of underlying fear to not pursue a passion. And yeah, I just think it's great when you hear a story like this, where you guys were just hanging out, had an idea, struck a chord, pursued it, and here you are.
Yeah. And I'll say, like, playing poker full time for me was that, I started that before that. Yeah. And so I was going to say, for you, you've played poker for a long time. I believe your first live cash was in 2009. Is that right?
Probably before that even.
Yeah, I think it was probably before that.
Okay. 2007, was that it?
It's a quiz.
Yeah. No.
I'm not sure. I think it was a Turning Stone trip. It feels like it would have been 2006, 2007. So that could be right.
Okay. Yeah.
just out of high school, because I'm assuming, did you graduate '05 or '06?
Yeah, I'm class of '05.
Okay, same here. All right.
Oh, you know what? Where I bet I got the '09 from? That was probably
The year you were
WSOP. If
born?
I'm doing the math,
Oh,
that was when you were 21. So maybe it was the WSOP cash,
It
but
was, yeah. That was my first big trip to Vegas.
yeah,
yeah,
you got like, what was it, top 20 in the main that year, didn't you?
I sure did. Yeah, I
it's a
had
good
so many
start.
chips, like day 7 or whatever, and I was just like, "Oh, this is great. This is what you do. You win online, you come to Vegas, you just win the main event. Like,
Yeah.
let's
Mhm.
go."
I think
That was the year Joe Cata won.
Yes, yes, it was.
Yeah.
I want to say that that was the first time I believe that I remember like seeing you. I think that was when I was introduced to you, because you got some TV coverage that year, didn't you?
I did, yeah, and it's so funny because I had a lot of hands on feature tables that I thought were pretty cool. Now, granted, I'm a 21-year-old. I have no life experience, and I'm just like sitting at home after the tournament ends, and I'm like, these are going to be so awesome on the broadcast. And then the broadcast eventually comes out. I get like one hand, and my ego was so bruised. I was like, oh my God, how could they have done me like that? I have no concept
How
of
could they do
production
this
or
to
This was
me?
my
anything.
opportunity to shine.
Yeah, it's so funny how like you just get an idea in your head of how the world works, and yeah, it's not always the case. So
Mhm.
That's
it was good
awesome.
though. It was good times.
What
So
was that? Your first trip to Vegas, your first WSOP. What were the emotions like there? And
it's a good question.
yeah, talk about that.
Yeah, amazing. So I had taken a trip to Vegas in I don't know if I'm going to get the years right here, but yeah, no, okay. It was that same year in April. I played the WPT Championship at Bellagio. I had a deep run in that as well. And then I was sort of all over the map at this point. I flew to Monaco. I played the EPT there. I don't even know if I flew back home or if I came straight back to Vegas. And I played the World Series, and I only played 10 tournaments. I did play a lot of online cash around that time,
Mhm.
so I was playing poker, just not tournaments in particular. But yeah, I played 10, cashed in 5, had a second in a 5K shootout, had that deep run in the main, and I mean it was amazing. I was never a kid who had like a ton of big successes, I guess. Like I played a lot of sports, but um, I'm like, not the most athletic person. My teams never like crushed it. We didn't like win the league. So it kind of felt like a, super cool moment where obviously this is big for me, first year in Vegas and just having so much success, and then get to share it with, really close friends. Yeah, it was just incredible. But again, it kind of gave me some ideas of how the world worked and how my career would go. I was like, oh, you come to Vegas, you just, win 800K, no
I
big deal.
know.
And obviously it's not always like that. So
I relate a
It's
lot with
actually been
that.
the case for everybody in our Discord. That is the requirement. You have
It's
to
yeah.
win 800K.
Yeah, Andrew, I relate with that a ton actually, that you said that. I grew up doing a lot of different things, and I was never the best, or I mean, I don't need to be the best at what I do, but I did a lot of different things, and I never really excelled in any of them. And then I
Mhm.
found poker, and not that I'm like the greatest poker player in the world or anything, but it was something where I kind of shined at, and I took stride at that. So I think that also helped me pursue my passion or develop my passion as well.
Totally.
Yeah, so that was nice to reflect on that. I do kind of want to skip the appetizers. The appetizers being, a lot of your successes going through the early 2010s all the way up to now, and kind of get into who LuckyChewy, Andrew Lichtenberger is now as a person. I've seen a lot of your tweets lately, and they're inspiring to me. And I think you view things a lot differently than a lot of people, view the world differently, I should say. In one of your tweets recently, you wrote, think about how much high level poker would appear random to an uneducated player. Perhaps some of
Mm.
our individual and collective experiences also have that in play. And that line really stuck with me. I completely agree with you. I think that there are forces in this universe that we don't understand, but we experience them. Can you maybe talk about how that perspective influences your decision making at the poker table?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm a big believer in flow as a concept, as a state of mind or state of being. And I really just look to the ancients for, for their wisdom because they seem to have it figured out. So, in particular, the ancient Taoists, kind of like ancient Chinese philosophy, and the ancient Egyptians. I think they have the Stoics as well, and the Buddhists and the Hindus. Like they all have like incredible lore, and even the Western traditions. I really find it fascinating, as it seems you do as well, that there just seem to be inklings that you get about the way people are feeling emotionally, psychologically, how their dispositions change over time. Yeah, I'm a big believer, I guess, in like energy as a concept, and some energy is expressed in a more subtle fashion, and some is expressed in a more gross fashion. And I think physical reality is a fairly sort of like gross expression. This is not a value judgment, just sort of I guess the frequency of that energy of matter. Um, but yeah, I really I think benefit a lot by having this perspective. Well, one, it's authentic, so I like that. But I think it allows me to have insights and make choices and yeah, just gain understanding and have clarity over my life.
How do I word this? So obviously, in relation to poker, do you use those, those intuitive feelings over, like a baseline theory? Because obviously you study poker and you have a lot of theoretical understanding of the game. Would you use your intuition over that?
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the most profound things about poker is that it so seamlessly blends these two worlds, right? I think of it like essentially the two hemispheres of the brain. You have like the more rigid, theoretical, logical, rational frameworks, and then you have the more creative, expansive, intuitive, emotional, or what have you. And they just sort of converge in this really fascinating way. So do I use my intuition over theory? I mean, I guess you could say sometimes that I do, but I really like how they blend together and the harmony they create. So oftentimes they work hand in hand, where I've often felt that the more of a theoretical understanding you have of the game, whether that's from poker study or just lived experience and understanding sort of how the game works, the more access to your intuition you can have, the more sort of free you can be on the felt. Seems that when I understand sort of the underpinnings of a situation better, the more my insights will just hold weight as I have them during gameplay. Does that kind of
Okay.
make sense?
It does. It
It
does.
does. When you were saying that, I guess two things came to my mind. I guess the question would be like, how would you recommend that people sort of improve their intuition? Like, is it just based on tons of experience? And in terms of poker, I think of, a couple different types of examples where people can sort of trick themselves into think they're playing intuitively when they're just so let's say someone three bets you two hands in a row, and then the third hand they also you open, they three bet you for a third time in a row. I think this would be a classic case of maybe someone who isn't as experienced in poker, someone thinking they're using their intuition of being like, oh, this person's just trying to run me over, where in reality it's like, no, you just feel like insulted, and you want it to be the case that they're trying to run you over so you can justify just trying to blast them off the hand. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I do. Um,
um,
it's a really good point that you bring up that you can't conflate your intuition with a bias.
mhm,
Intuition's kind of I think of it as a soft skill. Like it's not something that's always going to be like super up in your face. You kind of have to quiet your mind a little bit to hear it. And yeah, it tends to whisper as opposed to yell in my experience.
mhm,
And I know that the
love
Heart
that.
Math Institute has classified different types of intuition. Um, One being kind of like a subtle energetic sensitivity, another being a sort of like subconscious pattern recognition. And the third that I find most interesting is like a non-local intuition, where there's no rational or logical explanation as to why you should be able to have that understanding. Um,
Mhm,
so yeah, how can people train that? Well, I think poker is a great proxy for intuition. But I actually created an app earlier this year. It's called ChemSet, and it's sort of branded in the same vein as my interest in the ancient Taoist and ancient Egyptian cultures. And it's an intuition trainer. How good is it at training intuition? I don't actually know. I mean, I did use this method, and it just at least having the experience of choosing cards from a randomly shuffled deck and seeing how
Hmm.
well you do. I think it's a fun exercise. In some ways, it's also a counter signal against, like a purely logical framework. But I think just playing poker really is one of the best ways to train. And I've heard people suggest, like playing really small stakes and just not looking at your cards. Like obviously, we all know about Annette's glorious victory in the Sunday
Yeah,
Storm
yeah.
back in the day. Um, but yeah, I think just experimenting with it and kind of getting a sense of when you have those different insights, like is it a thought, is it a belief, is it a bias, is it an intuition, kind of getting a sense of when those signals come to you internally, like which ones can you trust and how do they differ. That's why I think gaining clarity over sort of your inner landscape can be really beneficial.
I battle with that question a lot. And I have that
Mm,
conversation a lot. Is this intuition? Is this me just being emotional? And then trying to decide and make a decision based on that. I don't want to end up making a mistake, by not
yeah,
clarifying. And I liked how you worded it as is it comes as a whisper and not shouting.
often, yeah.
Yeah. Does this relate? So, I read a little bit about ChemSet, your app, and you talk about coherence. Is that the state of maybe relaxing your mind and trying to find an intuitive state, or what exactly is coherence?
So also, I'm just borrowing from the Heart Math Institute because I think they've done a lot of great work in this space. It's basically just having like a rhythmic sinusoidal wave pattern for the in and out breath and the beating of the heart, and it creates an actual physiological coherence between the heart and the brain and the rest of the biological system. And based on the work they've done, it seems fairly self-evident that when you're in that state of coherence, you have more access to your intuition. So, yeah, basically anything you can do to gain more insight and clarity over the present moment, I'm all for.
Yeah, and test. I mean, like you said, you've spent a lot of time reading about these ancient cultures who probably are not as detached from reality due to technology like in the modern day, it seems.
Yeah.
And take, a lot of people aren't. I probably don't know anyone who has read into that stuff, or at least in depth, to be able to try and understand it and make, reflect on life in that way. So.
Yeah, it's really not that complicated. It can be a bit complex in sort of the way that they put together their thoughts and surmise different ideas. But yeah, I mean, they were just looking to understand the natural world around them and like what are the sort of fundamental building blocks of reality, consciousness, what makes us who we are, and sort of like how this holistic system of life really works.
What do you think listeners could do to maybe test or to practice their intuition?
I honestly think that just having the idea that your intuition is a thing and just being open to what kind of happens, you can kind of just go from there. Because,
Mhm.
I mean, I think you use your intuition all the time. Yeah, there's just constantly situations where you can benefit from having an intuitive insight. And the more you're in that state of coherence, the more you're likely to have those intuitive experiences. And something I feel quite strongly about is that if you get those intuitions, but you don't act on them, you sort of send the signal to whatever part of your faculty is that intuition. Let's just say the heart, because that's typically how I associate it, that you're not interested in this. And it isn't that they'll stop existing, but you're just sort of like now training that pattern to be like, okay, you get an intuition and you don't acknowledge it, and you just sort of go around in that loop. So I think the more that you engage and embrace these insights, the more they come, and it's sort of, a self-perpetuating mechanism in that sense.
I will
Yeah.
continue to keep working on that, and I try to. I mean, well, whether it's poker or not. I mean, sometimes I'll have a feeling of something strange happening, and then whether it's a connection with my wife or just a thought with her, or whether it's in poker where I have a really strong feeling before like pre-flop, but I look down at my hand and I go
Mhm.
against what the book says to do because of this deeply intuitive feeling.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes I mean, there's just something about that I don't understand, but I want to listen to it. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, it makes it
yeah.
more fun. Like I like that life has these weird sort of pockets in it, and there's like a sort of multi-dimensional aspect to it. It's not all so cut and dry, and we don't really have it all figured out. So
And maybe it's
I'm with
better
you,
that we
brother.
don't have it figured out.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I like that a
It
lot.
would
Okay,
be
so
boring.
I have another related question, basically based on what you just said, Max. So, I think I'm sure you guys have had this, and I've had this a few times where it's like, and it happens in live poker where, maybe there's a raise and a three bet in front of me, and I'm like, there's a hand in my head, like maybe it's ace queen or whatever, where it's like, this would be the hand where it's just a brutal decision. And I feel like it's like the lowest threshold that I'm going to jam. And I already feel like I'm going to bust.
Mm.
But I don't feel that yet. But then I look down and it is ace queen, and I'm like, oh shit. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
And
know
I'm like,
exactly what
is
you mean.
that intuition that, or is that just like there's some sort of bias there where maybe I've been running bad, and then this is the one time I just happen to look at that hand. Like there's maybe 100 other examples where that would have happened, but I
that
just didn't look down at ace queen. You know
that's
what I
where it's
mean?
scary though, because it's like, am I listening to my intuition or am I listening to maybe recency bias of running bad?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and this is where you do have to be very honest with yourself, right? And like if you typically think of hands that you might bust with and you look down and you don't have them, um, then yeah, maybe it is a recency bias. But if it is kind of a one-off and it's like, okay, well, that's a bit odd that I thought of the particular hand that I ended up having and it relates to this particular action sequence. As you were describing it, my sense was that that is an intuition because I have had those types of things happen where it's like, oh, this would be a really close spot, or uh, yeah, sort of in that same vein. But
Mhm.
this is what's fun about poker, right? You never really know. It's always that game of incomplete information. So uh, yeah, is no way for me to give a
No,
clear and concise answer. But
no,
it sounds like intuition.
I'd
Mhm.
agree, Wes. I also agree that sounds like intuition. I feel like, and it comes so periodically. It's not something I'm feeling all the time. It's just, I don't try to force these feelings. It just seems like they come to me randomly.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
don't think you can force them. I think that's kind
Okay.
of the whole nature of these softer skills. They sort of come by you remaining open, being receptive, and yeah, just letting them come in their own time, as you
You
said.
you mentioned in your response to Chris Brewer online and Twitter that you don't think you can change an outcome, but you can influence it. But then you put in parentheses, "I may be wrong," or something along the lines of that. Do you
Mhm.
think? I mean, is that something you work on to see if, or is that why you study it more, or do you think that you can ultimately change an outcome?
So the reason that I kind of got super fascinated in this thread of luck and randomness and how it all relates, well, one, it's just a core part of poker, right? And it's been part of
Yeah,
the discourse in the industry for forever, basically. Like how much is luck, how much is skill? Um,
the ultimate
and
question.
it, yeah, totally. And it kind of hit me at one point that like, huh, maybe luck is just a different type of skill. Maybe it's not random. Kind of you alluded to that other tweet that I made where you know, we attribute certainty to things that perhaps we have no business doing. Um, but yeah, I really I don't know. I genuinely do not know. I'm interested in gaining more insight over this, but my felt sense from playing a lot of poker is that luck is not random and that it is linked to this internal state of coherence. And I don't know exactly what the link is. I did a deep dive in various, pockets of quantum mechanics and quantum physics, and I was sort of looking to see if anyone had done anything like this. There actually was a study from HeartMath where uh, they took entrepreneurs and non-entrepreneurs, and uh, they had them play like a simulated roulette game. And what they did is after the participants made their choice, they had a 12 to 14-second pause, but the result was already in. And what they showed is that the entrepreneurs who typically had more of a ability to deal with like high pressure situations and maintain coherence, During that window, they saw that there was a physiological response to what that outcome um, was going to be. And I thought that was fascinating because to me, the next logical step is like, well, if you can feel what an outcome is going to be when it's already sort of known, then can you not just bring conscious awareness to that at some point? And I don't know how much of this relates exactly to the topic of luck, but I just feel very strongly that when I'm in a state of coherence, I am luckier. I get a better distribution of cards. I'm more likely to make the draw. It also goes hand in hand with you just have better timing, right? And when your intuition is better, you're just in better situations. So, the idea of preparation and opportunity coming together to create that luck certainly holds true here. But yeah, for me, there's more exploration to be done on this topic, and I think it's no coincidence that I happen to have this, funny and fitting nickname of Lucky Chewy.
Yeah, I know it's
Yeah.
fitting, right? I do have a statement kind of revolving around that. I think
Please,
that
yeah.
some people, are able to obviously tap into their luck without having an understanding of it. Or no one
Mhm.
really does have an understanding, but some people seem to be able to tap into it more. And to me, from my experiences, almost what it seems like is just um, being positive and confident in that outcome in your head.
Yeah,
I mean, it almost seems as simple as that, without
yeah.
trying to get too crazy about it. Um, Kind of moving on from the subject of luck, what do you do nowadays to study your game, or do you still, try and improve your game daily, try and keep up with it? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, do I do it on a daily basis? Not necessarily in sort of a rigid or regimented way, but I just try to improve myself on a daily basis. And I really do look at poker success as a holistic system where if you're improving yourself, you're going to improve some aspect of your game. Is that going to maybe be the most important part of your game at all times? No, but you don't know when these different skills are going to come in handy. So, uh, I mean, I still do like some playing against the bot. Um, I discuss a lot of hands with friends. I think that's always sort of been the best way to improve. Um,
I agree with
you
that.
know, yeah, back in the day, we didn't have any tools to consult, so it was just
Mhm.
our minds and the minds of the people around us. I think that's always one of the best aspects. And I enjoy watching poker streams. Uh, but yeah, I mean, being a dad, your priorities definitely get flipped a bit, and you'll find out soon. But
I'm
yeah,
prepared for that,
yeah,
honestly.
it's super fun. It's there's something that happens, like I'm sure you've heard the idea of baby run good, right? And here we are back in this
Yeah.
luck
Yeah.
discussion. But there's something that happens where I don't really know how to describe it. It's like I've thought of it as like an increased sense of purpose, but it's kind of more than that. It's I don't know, just completely changes, like upends your world and your worldview, and it's all for the better. But yeah, it's just very exciting. So
Yeah.
I'm ready for that. I mean, you're 37 now, about to be 38. Happy early
mhm.
birthday, by the way.
Thank you, thank you.
Um, yeah, I mean, we both obviously, this is your first child, right?
Yes, yes.
So, I mean, we both kind of had that time to enjoy our youth, and
hmm
now I'm ready to take that leap into the non-poker related, just the next experience of life, um,
Totally.
and
I
just
felt the same, and you're
yeah.
gonna love it.
I know I will. I'm very
Yeah,
much looking forward to it, and I have a beautiful wife to do it with, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Uh,
amazing.
yeah, Wes, any questions you have following the coaching topic? I mean, excuse me, the studying topic.
I mean, yeah. So what would you recommend? Like a lot of our audience is somewhere in between like recreational player and aspiring professional, like someone who's a winning player but hasn't quite gone full time yet. Anywhere within that range. A lot of tournament players who play like low to mid stake stuff. How would you say? I don't know that they're going to be playing against bots or anything. So like, how would you say? Yeah, say they should get to the next level of their game. What should they do to improve?
Yeah. Well, I think it really depends on what they want, like
Mhm.
what their goals are. I mean, I think when I say playing against the bot, I just mean like the trainer, like
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
yeah. Uh, just understanding how the intricacies of these different sort of nuanced situations play out is quite important for tournaments. For people playing cash games, probably a lot of it is just identifying like where, I mean, and with tournaments as well, just, where are your weaknesses? Like, are you somebody who, has trouble regulating their emotions? Because that can be something that's entirely unrelated to poker strategy. It's just purely on the execution of the performance side that you
Hmm.
need to sort of brush things up, and the knowledge you already have can find a better home when you play if you're able to do a better job with all that. Or maybe it's it is a strategic issue. I think sort of honest self-investigation is really the first step for any of this, and that's primarily what I spend time doing is like figuring out where I have these pockets or these holes for self-improvement, and yeah, just looking to pursue them. But as far as people that are newer to the game or aspiring pros, yeah, I mean, practice does make perfect, right? The more you play, like the more you're going to find yourself in the situations that are going to give you the feedback and the reflection for what you need to do, and then taking those experiences and uncertainties to a community or to a coach, or just using that as you know a benchmark for self-reflection. Um, yeah, I feel like you need some amount of personal lived experience in the game to kind of identify where you're out of alignment, where you can, plug some leaks and improve.
I feel like a lot of people have that question, or they just don't know what their leaks are, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Oh, I mean, and
totally.
even now, it's like I still do that where I'm like, yeah, I know I'm a winning player, but it's like I don't want. I'm like, what separates me from like,
I think what separates you, Wes, is that you ask yourself the questions. We've discussed our swings a lot over the time, and you're honest with
Mhm,
yourself, and I think that
Mhm.
has led you to become the player you are. But you're really good at saying, was it due to this, or was it due to this, or was it due to this, and then breaking off the things that aren't a part of it, and then kind of dialing it into what you think is really causing the issue. So yeah, for
yeah,
So
me,
it's
important.
yeah.
it's important to do. I also say like, back before it was like when I was starting to take it seriously, part of it was a mental thing, but I also think part of the mental thing was I really was just a break even player. And so that alone was frustrating. I'm like, okay, so if I just learn a lot of this stuff and see the graph angle upwards in the long term, that makes it so I don't get tilted when it dips down a little bit. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Sort of like proving
Um,
to yourself that you do actually know how to do this, and that a bump in the
yes.
road doesn't mean, existential disaster.
Wes doesn't
Yeah,
just
yeah.
ride the wave. He actually like needs the math and science behind it, and I respect him for that a lot.
Totally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like in terms of, yeah, that's where me for intuition, not to completely go back into that, but I think for me, I always need to like I'll have intuitions, but then I need to like figure out why I had them a lot of times.
Mhm.
And the ones that I can't really explain are sometimes the ones where I'm like, maybe I would ignore those. But
Those are the ones I find the most interesting.
yeah, and maybe I should just like accept that I don't have to be able to explain them all.
Yeah,
So
I would say that that can be powerful. Always
mhm.
needing to understand, like understanding the mechanism isn't always the same thing as understanding, like the situation per se, if that makes
Yeah,
any sense.
yeah, that makes sense. Um,
It's inspiring to hear the technical side behind all of the thinking, though, behind your thoughts on intuition, stuff like that. It's not like you just believe it and believe what you're reading, believe what you're understanding, but you're putting time and effort into truly understanding what it is that makes it that.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that to the point you made about Wes wanting to have that scientific backbone to a belief system, or intuition in particular. I think it's super important because I mean, obviously, none of us are any strangers to the idea that as you get into these sort of topics that are a little bit less mainstream, you can attract some unusual characters, and it doesn't always, yeah, it's not always the most sort of grounded perspective or point of view. So I
Hmm.
think, applying some degree of rigor to the process or the mechanism is quite important. But in the moment, then when it happens, I don't know. I don't always need to have the felt sense of exactly why something is happening. For me, the emotional clarity that comes with that state of coherence is often enough to act on it.
I
And
love that.
Mhm.
sometimes
Yes.
I think the bigger the decision in poker, the more you should lean into that.
Yeah.
Okay. I will definitely take that to heart. I appreciate that. I also want to kind of take a moment to mention you mentioned like bringing your thoughts and to community. And we do have a place in the Suited Kings podcast where we have a Discord. It's free to use, and if you guys aren't involved in that yet, make sure to hop in there. We have hundreds of users in there running hands off each other all the time and improving their games. So if you haven't yet, make sure to check that out. Yeah, links in the description if you want to join that and start asking questions. It's all it takes. So
Cool. I'm definitely going to join. I'll answer a couple questions.
I appreciate that.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah, Andrew, that would be incredible. You guys want to get into some of the nitty gritty?
please.
Get
Yeah.
into the nitty-gritty,
The
Max.
nitty gritty. One thing that we love to do when having guests, especially ones as popular as you on, is pick your brain. We want to see how you think about the game
Mhm,
from the beginning to the end of the hand, right?
mhm,
And you were kind enough to bring a hand to the table. Do you have that in front of you right now?
mhm. Yeah. Well, I just remember the hand. Yeah.
You're okay. Would you mind going over the hand and we'll kind of just
Yeah.
discuss part by part our thoughts on it?
Totally. So this was part of a recent Poker Go bounty series. It was the
Hmm.
first event. It's a 5K buy-in, and 2K of that 5K goes towards the bounty for each player. So each player you knock out, you receive a 2K bounty. And in this situation, I'm fortunate to cover the players in the hand. And the bounty, so the starting stack is 125,000, and the bounty being 40% of the buy-in means that the bounty is worth around 50,000 chips, which is
Okay.
relevant.
Hmm.
So the hijack opens at 4,000 big blind to 9,000, and the cutoff, three bets to 27,000. The hijack has around 200K, and the cutoff has right around 120,
118,
maybe
actually. I have the
118,
text.
was it? Yeah,
118, yeah.
okay. And then I'm in the small blind with two red nines, and I shoot it up to 55K. I know the cutoff. We've played a bit. I call him Big Dog. I'll keep his name out of this because
Big dog's good enough.
Yeah.
yeah. But he's a good
We
player and
already
he's a
have a
great
read on
guy.
him.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
So yeah, I'm just committing against him with my nines. Like I know he's pretty aggressive, and the hijack was, I'm not sure if he's a pro or just kind of an aspiring grinder as you put it earlier, but I just know the cutoffs range here is pretty wide, and with the bounty overlay, it's kind of a trivial decision.
Yep.
But I didn't want to commit against the big blind and the opener. Maybe I should with the bounty overlay, but it felt like if I click it here and they shove, even with a range that's going to have ace king and full, I might not want to get it in, but at least reserve the right to fold the hand if like it goes shove, or maybe
Yeah.
then there's two bounties, and anyway, just sort of leave
Yeah.
myself more
It's
options,
interesting with
which I
that
think,
bounty added in there, isn't it? It just creates
yeah, it
such a
is.
unique dynamic.
And I was somewhat hesitant to share a hand with a bounty component because it's not common, and I'm far from an expert in bounties, but the post flop mechanics are kind of cool. So
Okay.
And
anyway,
I
folds.
will
Yeah.
I will quickly say, like, we don't really talk much bounties on here, but I very recently have sort of come to the conclusion, like, from playing a lot of online, I'm like, I've kind of gone from these bounty tournaments are annoying. Like, I want to focus on the normal ones. And now I'm like, okay, but these are becoming really popular. I should actually really learn this stuff because the mistakes people make are probably much bigger in these than in the normal
It's more of
fields,
a profitable edge
So I
because of
think
that, you
it's
think?
appropriate that we're going over
A bounty.
a bounty hand. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, I think bounties. By the way, is the background? Can you hear any background noise on my
I
end?
cannot. No.
No.
Okay, that's great. My niece is here and she's wiling out.
Oh, nice.
No
Um,
worries.
But yeah, I think the bounties, it's super fun, right? For casual players, you might draw like a big bounty in a mystery bounty format or whatever. But it increases volatility.
Big time.
So yeah, it sort of, shifts the way that edges are realized. But anyway, yeah, so Big Dog calls my four bet here, and we go to the flop with obviously a pretty low stack to pot ratio.
Yeah, like
Um,
one, less than one,
less than
maybe.
one. Yeah, so we've got 55 times two from the four bets, that's 110, and the open is 9. It's 119, and then um
The
the
blind
big blind and
and
the ante. So
ante.
we got 127 in the pot, and then what has got 30
Oh yeah, yeah. It's like 0.5, right?
yeah, so he's got 73 behind, I believe.
Okay.
63, right?
Sorry, 63. Yeah.
Wes is
Um,
really good with the math. I rely on him a lot for that.
I did not get a ton of sleep last night, so
Oh, it's all good.
New dad, I
yeah.
get it.
So SPR is like 0.5 here.
Yeah, so it's pretty small. So already I'm thinking he's not trapping because if he has a hand he wants to go with, I'm just not folding, and
Yeah.
he knows that. He's a
Yeah.
smart
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, this is interesting.
I
Let's
feel
see
like
what
that's
the flop
huge to
brings.
understand immediately because we can kind of start constructing his range from there. Or well, I mean, we can start removing from his range then at that point, can't we?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's already like a really tight range spot where, it could be the case that he's sort of just not folding because he thinks the price is too good, but with the
Yep.
bounty overlay, as we will see, it's not always so clear in my opinion. But yeah, we go to the flop. It's ace 6 6, two clubs and a spade. So I do block ace 9 suited twice, which is useful. I just bet 8K and he calls.
I love that.
Uh, my thought was, could he have a flush draw? Yeah, it's possible, but for the most part, he kind of either has an ace or he doesn't. He doesn't have those pairs that are higher than nines. He probably doesn't have a pocket pair at all. It's basically
Mhm.
just, does he have an ace or does he have some kind of other hand that is not an ace?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
Queen Jack of Diamonds or something.
Possibly,
Yeah.
but we'll sort of see where this sort of, thought on particular hands goes when we get to the river. But the way that I know that tournament theory typically works in these spots, and the way I thought he would play, you don't really want to three bet like as you would in a deeper stack cash game, those suited broadways at this depth, because you just run the
Mhm.
risk of getting shoved on. You typically want a little bit more polarity, and then you just call, especially with the ante, because your VPIP will be a little bit higher. But yeah, so he calls. The turn's a jack, bringing the flopped flush draw in. It's obviously a pretty bad card for two red
Yeah.
nines.
Yeah.
Um, I check, and then he checks it back. I mean, I'm kind of just giving up with the hand at this point. I have plenty of hands with an ace in them. I have plenty of pairs with a club.
Yeah.
So if he bets the turn, I'm probably pretty cooked. Um, and then the river comes just a brick four, and I check. And then he bets 50 of his remaining 55K.
Interesting. Okay.
And yeah, this was the case where, fitting as it would be, it really was a convergence of theory and strategy and intuition. And I'm thinking like, well, if he's going to call a hand pre-flop, uh, that's not a trap because, it doesn't make any sense to do that. And I know he knows that. It's probably going to be some kind of suited hand or a hand that just kind of flops well enough. But if he already has somewhat of a polarized three betting range because he's, uh, you know, in this 30 BB stack depth, and he doesn't want to, raise with hands that are sort of like good but not great and get shoved on, then I thought King Queen was a plausible hand just because
That's
I
what,
bet so small on the flop. King
that's
Queen
where I
with a
was thinking
club,
as well.
Mhm.
First thought. I continue.
yeah, that takes a free card on the turn. And I was like, well, if he has King Queen off, can't he just have like Ace 10 off? But I think King Queen off is probably going to do a little bit better calling the four bet, whereas Ace 10 off is, probably a lot more cooked against my better hands. Because at least King Queen's flipping more often with some of the pairs. But yeah, I could, be wrong about that. He could just have all of those hands. But Something about the moment. It wasn't a live tell. He's like a really well put together guy. Like he's composed and he plays
Okay.
quickly and confidently. But as I was tanking and I used a time bank, I was just like, I don't know. I just really feel like I should call here, and
Okay.
it just sort of seems like a spot where it's like, can he have a better hand? Yeah, of course. I mean, it's not so much of a stretch. And if he did turn a flush, it's very plausible that he would check, but there's really not that many combos of hands that are flush. And yeah, just stuck the money in, and he had King Nine of Spades, which was the backdoor flush draw on the
Yeah,
flop.
I was
I
wondering.
can I have a thought about this as well, and
Yeah.
forgive me if maybe this thinking is incorrect. And maybe you could correct me if so. But on the river, being at a bounty tournament, wouldn't it seem more valuable to jam there to know that you can collect his? I mean, he should be getting called wider because of his bounty that's in play.
I I was gonna ask that. Yeah, is there, the fact that he left 5K back? How do you read into that, or is that more of just like a standard thing?
I mean, it seems standard in a
Yeah.
non-bounty, but in a bounty, it almost seems like he's going to get, if he's betting with value, he's going to get called wider by jamming because of the bounty.
But
It's a,
maybe betting in general, like the person making the call, their overall EV goes down if it's not an all in, just against the range, because they don't because now you never win the bounty by calling. You know what I mean? I don't know.
yeah, no, it's a really good question. And I think that I think it makes sense. Like as you mentioned, in sort of a vanilla tournament situation, it makes a lot of sense to leave this single chip behind, or the one big blind. You do run it up like a non-negligible portion of the time.
Yeah.
Um, I recall one of my friends had, like looked into this in bounty tournaments, and his conclusion was that you should just shove because of what you said. You're bluffing less often, and you want to, construct your strategy in a way that gives you the maximum return on you putting money in the pot. Um, but that's not what he did here. And then the question of like, well, should I just shove to try and collect the bounty? I think the challenge is that if he has a hand like he did have here, he's just going to fold. So I only get called when he actually has the
Yeah.
better hand.
Yeah.
And as much as I do want Big Dog's bounty more than almost anyone else at the table, I I sort of need to accept that this is just not really going to be the time because I can't beat any of his value bets when I'm
That
I'm
makes
purely
sense.
bluff catching.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think that makes complete sense. Yeah,
And
did Big Dog spin it up?
Big Dog did not. I actually did catch his bounty, and someone else got caught in the crossfire, and I collected their bounty as well.
oh,
So
that's
that was
that's
cool.
good.
I think
So
It was great.
Wes, I think one of our, if maybe, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I think one of our past guests actually won that event.
really,
Did Jeremy win that event? Am I?
Jeremy won. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. We had
okay,
Jeremy on maybe
okay.
about a year and a half ago now, something
Oh,
like that.
super cool.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yeah.
love Jeremy.
He was a
Great
really
guy.
fun guest to have on.
Yeah,
yeah.
he's a very
Oh man,
intuitive guy.
He is
he
for sure.
is. He is. Yeah, I've played with him. He's very much that like live. He's just that
He
that
listens to
live
his
player
gut
that's
for
kind
sure.
of got it. You can't even really explain it.
Yeah.
Like some of
Yeah.
it looks like theory, but then some of it's just not either. And
Yeah.
it's
And this
yeah.
is what you find in a lot of cases with people that play a lot of poker, succeed, and have really strong intuition. They either just through osmosis of being around people that are more theoretically inclined, sort of pick up those ideas, but they just have great instincts and they just sort of find, I'm not going to say in all cases, and people have different strengths. Like I always like to think of, I played a lot of video games as a kid, like you get different attribute points with different
Yeah.
characters. Like some people are stronger in theory and some people are stronger in intuition and, coherence and flow and whatever. Um, yeah, I think you really have to play to your strengths in poker, and maybe it's sort of backing into an answer from the question you asked a little while ago about what should people do to improve, is like figure out like how, like what do you like about poker? What are your strengths, and how can you continue to hone those? Because I
Mhm.
think everybody has a slightly different style, and I really believe you can take something from anyone's game or approach or perspective, but you kind of have to make it your own. I'm not really a big fan of taking ideas and sort of just like, squeezing them into or trying to I guess override existing things you have because you can sort of start to get too many perspectives in without having the cohesiveness between them when they might have
Mhm.
slightly different uh, approaches in certain cases.
If I were to build an RPG character, it'd be like 1 point in everything and then the rest in luck.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Just a little taste of everything and then the rest in luck.
Yeah. Probably not far off from that myself, my friend.
I'll tell you what though, if I were to do that in an actual video game, my character would be severely underpowered in the game.
Yeah.
Maybe not in real life, but in the game.
Yeah.
Before we get into the second hand here, I do want to ask you a question. You mentioned earlier about entering flow state. I really think the thought or idea of flow state is so cool because I enter it in everything I do occasionally. You know, it applies to every single thing I do. Whether it's I'm a big snowboarder and skateboarder growing up. Some days I don't have it. Some days I'm just feeling it and it just flows throughout me and I don't have to try. The less I think, the easier it comes to me. How do you cultivate that, or how do you get into flow state for poker?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is obviously I've logged quite a few hours of playing at this point in my career, so a lot of it does just come naturally. But I can tell when, I'm not like in, for whatever reason, the best state of mind to get into that flow. And it can be a challenge. Deepening my breath can be one thing that helps bring back that state of coherence. I've had kind of a on and off love-hate relationship with caffeine. I think that it
You and
has
both.
certain
Yeah, me
benefits.
too. Me
Yeah.
too.
Yeah. There's certain things that oh wow. There's certain things it does that I think are really beneficial, like neurocognitively, but then it can also like increase heart rate and sort of take me out of a flow state other times. So yeah, I've been toying around with how to use it more effectively, and sometimes that means not at all. So
Yeah.
I think that's another way. But I think the biggest thing is really like when you get that intuitive breadcrumb, I really do feel quite strongly that when you pursue it and you walk down that path, and it's like, okay, you're gonna, like it's a close spot, there's competing factors, and maybe in a theoretical sense, you're indifferent between, the two decisions that you might face early in a session. The one that feels more natural to pursue, I really feel very strongly that, and maybe this is just my own experience and my own bias, but when you pursue the one that feels better, you sort of keep getting those, and that to me is a flow state in and of itself. And you just keep kind of following that, and yeah, there's just this mysterious unfolding of life that just seems to be favorable
It feels so
over a long
good.
enough period of time.
It
Yeah, it
feels
feels
so good.
amazing.
And you
Yeah.
just embrace it when it happens. Don't overthink it. Just let it be what it is. And I find that when I start thinking about it too much, I leave it real quickly, personally.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I can
Um,
relate to
Overthink.
that.
So, all right.
I actually,
Go
a
ahead,
quick
Wes.
question. Just
Yep.
yeah, what you said about caffeine made me think. Do you have like when you play? Do you have like an optimal amount that you eat beforehand? Because I guess I've also found that some of my best sessions or best results have come when I have just like put off eating.
Just starve yourself.
Yeah,
There's
it's like
actually
I don't even
scientific
notice
evidence
it.
behind that where your brain will enter, go
Yeah,
ahead. Sorry, go ahead.
but yeah, thoughts on that?
Uh, yeah, so I have tried playing fasted before. I have had some success with it. In general, I find that for me personally, if I am not satiated enough, I kind of become too ungrounded and I can't discern intuition from just like
Mm,
crazy, off the cuff thought. And I just
Yeah.
am too likely to make some bad play where I put way too much money in the pot. So
Hmm. Yeah.
yeah, for me that typically doesn't work out. But yeah, I mean every day is different, and sometimes it just feels better to eat lighter. Like maybe just have a smoothie before playing or something.
yeah.
Um,
Something that doesn't at least make you want to, don't have a bowl of pasta that'll make you super sleepy.
no,
Mhm.
I'm never a fan of that. I always like to get the healthy fats and
Yeah.
the stuff that digests pretty,
Yeah.
at least somewhat quickly
Yeah.
in my
Not
system
having a
before playing.
stomach ache is ideal when you're trying to make critical
Yeah,
Yeah.
decisions.
for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
God. Okay, so moving on. Actually, the second hand here, Andrew, is going to be No, Bounty as well. This is an online event that I played
Oh, cool.
recently. It's an online trophy event on Global Poker. It's the Monster Stack, 35,000 guaranteed, $99 buy-in, slightly less of a buy-in price point than your end. But nonetheless, a fun event. It's an 8 max. It's super deep. Super deep meaning that you start with 20K or 20K in chips. Still, I think it's
It's like
200 big blind.
330 big. It starts at 30-60 are the blinds, right?
I try to late
Anyway,
reg these ones because it's too ridiculously deep, but
Yeah.
essentially it means it's 2 hours of late reg. But we are at the 500 big blind level, and I'm under the gun. I have this hand gets to heads up. I have 37.6 bigs to start it. Small blind has 35.25, so he cannot win my bounty. I can win his. I will start by saying that I got very cute this hand. It's
Okay.
not typically how I would play this hand, but in the moment it felt right, so I went with it. And I'm curious about both of your guys' thoughts on whether I missed value, got maximum, or what I could have done better, or
that
maybe,
was
or
terrible.
what I did good. Here we go. Here we go. Wes, I missed you, man. Thanks, buddy.
Yeah.
So this hand starts off with the beautiful pocket aces under the gun. I have the ace of hearts and ace of spades. To remind you, I have just under 38 bigs. I opened to 2 bigs under the gun. Folds to small blind, who I have zero notes on, zero reads on. I'm not sure who this opponent is at all.
It's worth noting that in these like tournament series, there are a lot more players that come into play that aren't playing regularly on there.
A lot more recreational players for sure.
Yeah.
So he had what I say, 34 and a half bigs to start the hand. He 3-bets, and out of position, he actually makes it a really small 3-bet. He makes it 5.85 bigs, leaving 29 bigs behind. Folds to me in the under the gun. What do we think? What are the optimal plays here at this point, knowing this situation?
I mean, in general, at the stack depth, you just want to trap aces.
Flat, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how you think the opponent is approaching this spot and what his perception of you might be, you could argue that, like, some people just won't bluff when they're covered, which is understandable, because there's obviously a lot less incentive for the other player to fold. And if you're up against someone like that, then they can start to quickly end up with a range where they're just not really folding against additional aggression. But I'm always somewhat hesitant, or not always, but I'm typically somewhat hesitant to pile too much money in the pot with aces in a spot where trapping is just so likely to yield you,
The most,
more chips. And
yeah.
if they have ace 10, ace jack offsuit sort of holdings, we really don't want those hands to fold. So
I agree with you 100%.
yeah.
I think flatting was my first the first thought I had here, and thinking about it a little bit more, or flatting was my what should I say, my like default autopilot response.
What was your intuition?
My intuition was these fields are really soft, and I can play a little bit weird to try and get more chips in now. I think that, and maybe that's incorrect to think, but I thought that was underestimating my opponents. Even if they have like ace jack and hands like that, we think they're going to fold. I don't think he's going to fold them here.
Okay, fair enough.
So as I had mentioned before, I got cute.
I think I know where this is going.
I end up 4-betting to 9.7 bigs, leaving 28 behind. Opponent ends up calling. The the pot is 21.2 bigs. Opponent has 25, so it's just over a 1 SPR. And again, I have them covered. The flop comes 8-4-8 with 2 hearts. I have ace of hearts, ace of spades. I feel like this spot is a little bit more, as played, this spot is a little bit easier, or a little more standard. What do you guys think? So small blind checks, what do you think I should do here?
I mean, I think you should bet not particularly large.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you could bet as small as like 10% of the pot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this might be a mistake as well. I thought that betting, it's either bet small or check were my 2 thoughts. The reason I thought check is because I can get 2 later streets, and I was just trying to make my hand all of a sudden look like ace king.
Yeah, I mean, I could see how that is a compelling option.
And I didn't have the field to deny any equity either with the ace of hearts in my hand.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. My concern is always when you end up in these situations where like the small four bet pre when you cover him and then the check back on the flop, it starts to tell too compelling of a story, and it's
I
like,
love
well, yeah, you
play
know,
my hand face up, you're saying?
kind of, yeah.
What
I mean,
happens when you bet turn and then jam river?
Yeah.
right,
Like,
like what are you repping?
Yeah, a very strong hand.
Yeah, it's challenging to imagine that you would want to play a bluff like this. And I always try to give my opponents, barring them having sort of showed me that this is not necessary, some degree of credit in sort of like basic hand reading or understanding like the chain of logic. I just think it's a hard sell to get all the money in the pot if you don't bet the flop personally,
I
but
I agree
it can
with you.
happen.
And you know, I like I said, I got cute pre-flop. I really do think that this is like the first mistake I made was not betting. You know, I 20% are just really small in this flop, just
Mhm.
because again, like you said, by not betting here, all of a sudden, and then if I bet turn and jam river, it's just way too strong too often of the time. I
It
was
just
kind of
looks like you have what you have,
yeah,
basically.
and I was just leaning on my opponent being a complete novice. You know, what I mean,
Yeah,
just
which is
yeah.
fine.
yeah,
Yeah, I guess the last point on it is you know, even if your opponent has absolutely nothing, they can call 10, 12%.
as we
You know,
saw
like
with the
if they have
as we saw with the king nine
yeah,
suited
and
in.
I'll also say, and this happens more like let's say I'm playing online 2-5 and you know, you got the short stack player who's kind of the wreck. There'll be times when I'll three bet, you know, whatever it is, I'll have like queens, kings, aces, and this happened literally yesterday where I c bet, I three bet jacks from small blind versus button, got called. I bet very small on the 994 rainbow board. And then they just shoved and I called and they had queen 10 off. And so sometimes against a player of that profile, like the really tiny bet,
You can just induce them to
they
do something
can
dumb.
they can
Yeah.
just do
Yeah.
something crazy. You know,
Yeah.
it gives them a chance to blunder.
I mean, in
Yeah.
hindsight, I do think I truly, you know, butchered this hand, I guess it's safe to say. And I'm not afraid to bring this to the table and
Yeah.
kind of get your
That's all right.
thoughts
The
because
hand I'm gonna do, I
oh,
butchered on one of the streets. I
you're
don't
getting
know
me
which.
excited, Wes.
Yeah.
Yeah, if I knew that I was supposed to bring a hand I butchered, I would have told a different hand.
And you know where also I think I went wrong here is I don't like I told you at the beginning, I don't have any information on this hand. Maybe if I
Mhm.
had notes on this guy saying that, you know, he would spew if shown weakness, something along the lines of that, then maybe I could play it this way and try and extract maximum. But I didn't have any reads and I had no right to think he was a complete novice either. So
Mhm.
maybe, yeah. Anyways, so uh, I end up checking back, and the turn comes the nine of hearts. So it's 8-4-8 with two hearts, nine of hearts bringing in the flush draw. And small blind checks. Now, I feel like obviously it's time to start getting value for our hand. I'm not too worried about,
Mm.
you
I'd
know,
almost feel like once you check the flop, if you want to try to continue telling that story, just check the turn again. I mean,
check the
you're
turn.
not likely to get the bounty at this point, but I'm feeling like it's hard for them to really have much. Like if they have a straight draw, they might bet to try to push you off the perceived ace high because that's kind of the story you're trying to sell
To
them.
read, yeah, or to give you.
Um, yeah, I feel like they're going to be drawing dead a lot.
I feel the same way. I did not check it. I did bet. So into 21.2, I bet 6.24.
Okay,
And to my surprise, the opponent calls.
sweet.
So what? I mean, what am I supposed to be putting my opponent on at this point, you guys? What? Just ace
I'm
highs? Do
gonna
you think
guess
he's got
like
ace king, ace queen?
I'm gonna guess ace queen with the queen of hearts, but
That feels like a very logical hand. Yeah,
Yeah, that's.
yeah,
I mean, because it has. I mean, right?
because you have the ace of hearts. Yeah.
Yeah.
it
Our
feels like it's not a pair.
it does not feel like a pair at all, right? Opponent has 19 bigs behind into what is 33 bigs in the pot. I have 21. He checks, we jam, and he folds.
Sorry, what's the
Did you say
river?
the river?
I did not say it. It's the 10 of diamonds.
Hmm.
Okay.
So at this point, I'm just like hoping he got, you know, had like,
Jack 10.
yeah. I mean, yeah, Jack 10 suited, something like that. I think I truly butchered this hand. I think there was maybe opportunity to get the bounty if, and correct me if I'm wrong, but is flat pre-flop, and then see what the action. Obviously, we don't know if he bets. I'm assuming he's going to bet small in the flop. If he bets small in this flop, say I just flatted pre-flop and he bets small in this flop, we just continue calling, correct?
Yeah, I would
Being in
just keep
position.
trapping.
Yeah, keep
I, I,
trapping.
yeah, I
I'll
feel like
also
you're
yeah.
benefiting a lot from keeping your range somewhat wide and like just being able to, as Wes quickly identified, like Ace Queen with the Queen of Hearts is like pretty logical hand. Even like from your opponent's perspective, if you call the flop, it's like, well, you can have all these ace high hands with a backdoor flush draw, or all these mid to small pocket pairs, and I think that's kind of where you are likely to extract the most value.
Hmm.
But the bounty was tempting.
It was, and I sometimes, in hindsight, it's always 2020, as they say. But
For
man,
sure.
Oh, for sure.
you really just after you do something like that, you're just like, oh God, how did I just slaughter this so bad?
I mean, it's not that bad. It's hard to like end up in a situation where you win a pot with aces and you've done something like egregiously
Yeah,
poorly.
but what I did, I think, poorly is I played my hand two face up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do. I am a believer in giving my opponents, a decent amount of credit in just establishing like a baseline hand reading ability. And if I can't, sort of feel as if it's plausible that they could think that I would play a hand that's not strong in a particular line, I won't take that line unless I'm very sure that they won't acknowledge that.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. The last thing I'll say too is if you flat pre-flop, you had said they're probably going to bet small on the flop. And I actually kind of think if we're profiling this player accurately, a lot of times they just hit that 50%, half pot C bet button and then they're like committed and
I mean, I don't know if we're profiling this player at all, as I
Yeah.
said. And he did you see his his three bet size preflop was really small, out of
Mhm.
position. So like,
Yeah, it makes me wonder because you were under the gun, right?
yeah, yeah.
I mean, the 3-bet range versus you is supposed to be like the strong hands and then some like, I don't know. I don't even know how this would translate to a bounty tournament, but like some sort of bluffs like, I don't know, queen 8 suited type stuff where but like on global, people aren't doing that. And also I don't know if that's even good in a bounty. So I feel like because I would expect someone let's say they did have ace queen off. I would that wouldn't make sense as a small 3-bet versus under the gun. Like, what was it, 9-handed?
Yep. Oh, I know it was
Yeah,
eight max. It was eight max.
eight max. Okay. Like, I guess I would expect that hand to probably flat, and then maybe if they're slightly shorter to just jam. If it was like a pro or for profit player, but
Okay, so we're gonna skip Wes's hand and go to a hand I played well just so I can redeem my dignity here.
Here- here's the thing about the hand I'm going to do, and it's an online cash game hand.
Mhm.
This is a hand that even after the fact, like I have so many thoughts where I'm like, some things lean this towards an obvious call, some things lean this towards obvious fold, and I should have folded earlier. And then there's like, I also could have just played the flop differently too. Anyways, so we're playing online cash. The main villain in this hand is going to be another reg, like a either pro or for profit grinder. And this hand is at 2-5. So we have so it's going to be cutoff open, small blind, 3 bets. We 4-bet big blinds. The small blind is the main villain who has 110 big blinds to start the hand, and we have them slightly covered.
Mhm.
So it goes 2.3 bigs from cutoff, small blind 11 bigs. We go 23 bigs with king queen of clubs from the big blind. Cutoff folds, small blind calls. So we have a pot of just over 48 bigs with a effective stack of 87.
Okay.
So a little under 2 SPR. And based on the flop, it doesn't feel like it's going to be a tricky spot at all. The flop is queen of diamonds, 9 of clubs, 3 of clubs. So we have top pair, backdoor flush draw. And, with this sort of SPR, it's like we're not really going to be folding top pair.
Well, yeah, especially with the flush draw.
Yep. Or backdoor flush draw, but yeah.
Oh, I thought you said two clubs as well. That's what I heard.
Also, 3 of hearts. I
Okay.
don't. Maybe I misspoke. Yeah, queen of diamonds, 9 of clubs, 3 of hearts.
Okay.
So he checks. We bet quarter pot, and
Yeah,
he
standard.
yeah. So he min raises basically setting up what I would expect to be a
A turn jam.
jam.
Yeah. You're too exploitable if you fold here, though, right?
Oh, I mean, I'm not. Yeah, this was not the decision point.
Yeah.
I guess on the flop, like you have ace queen off, right? And
I have king queen of clubs.
no, I'm saying in
Oh,
range.
in my range, yeah.
Um, they do they call ace queen off to the four bet here? And they cut off
I would
small and
think
big blind setup.
fold ace queen off. So I was actually like, so I played this hand while I was streaming and I was listing up. So I think their value range that we lose to is like ace queen suited and then aces.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
And then
Nines, I guess, is a plausible hand.
nines, yeah.
And do you
Um,
think they're continuing with many calls on the flop, or is it mostly by raising?
I would think, and I guess this is maybe it's a spot that I have to think more about or study more because the four bet pre flop, especially in online cash, where a lot of times you're 100 bigs effective. Like a lot of times it's you either have a hand you're getting in or you're not post flop.
Mhm.
I guess I don't know. My thought would be no. I think there would be some calls here. Like I think aces might still just flat here. I think nines might still just flat. If 10-9 suited is in there, I think that makes sense to just call on the flop.
Yeah, for sure. Maybe they could semi bluff Jack 10 suited, or I
King
mean,
jack suited.
King Jack suited.
Doesn't it
Yeah.
seem weird to go that a click sizing with that, though? Maybe I'm wrong. I guess.
Um,
Oh wait, no, not with the SPR. Probably,
It's
I
either
suppose.
yeah.
that or all in, basically.
I forgot the
I would
SPR
think.
was as such. Yeah.
Yeah, it
I
sort
guess
of
it just
leaves.
depends on how many hands they want to use. Like a common idea I think about in these low SPR post flop spots is like if you don't have bluffs that are folding to additional aggression, then you shouldn't use small sizes.
Mhm.
But it could be the case here that they look to target, like the ace king portion of your range
Yep.
and yeah, use the smaller size. But it's like, okay, if you min raise king jack suited and you get shoved on, I mean, yes, it's a grim spot. You're up against a really tight range, but like, are you priced in? Probably not, but it starts to get
Mhm.
pretty close.
Yeah, and then the other thing that crossed my mind is like, and this is one where I'm just not sure. Like, does a hand like eights ever do this to like on the turn, fold out jacks and 10? Like in a weird way, it's like eights are kind of they're not the bottom of the range because there's obviously the hands that just miss,
Mhm.
but it's a hand that, you know, eights can still fold out better, even if not on the flop. And it can get like a call from ace king and then fold it out on turn. It's not really something I'd think. I know it's an idea in some four bet spots on like an ace high board. The idea of check raising pocket tens is a thing.
Mhm.
And I don't know if that's similar here, but it crossed my mind briefly too. Anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So you
It's
end up
it's
calling.
possible. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean, I don't think it's likely, but it's, anything's possible.
yeah. Um, anyways, on the flop here, I'm not. My plan is to call and pretty much call if we face a turn jam. Like it's still like SPR is going to be 0.6 once we call.
Hmm.
Um, which I do. Turn is the ace of hearts, which it is the one overcard that we don't like.
Yeah, it's
But
not what you were
also,
hoping for.
yeah, but it's also like as I go through the range on flop, I'm like, well, none of the bluffs were ace high, right? And
Yeah, I
also
mean, none
they're
of the ones we
coming down
mentioned,
on their
but
value range
ace 10, ace jack suited could potentially do this. But yeah,
to target ace king.
it should be a better card for you in
Mhm.
general, I would think.
Yeah.
Does he just stuff it?
No, he bets quarter pot, which is bizarre. Like, and this is where it's just such a weird hand. So he bets quarter pot. So like basically 20, just under 25 into like 99.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you really have to start to identify like what are the bluffs that, you know, the described player type has here, and how likely are they to actually show up in this line? So you mentioned eights, it's plausible. King Jack suited, it's plausible, but I don't know, it starts to feel like we're kind of cooked.
It
Jack 10
does.
suited is maybe the only one But there's now only two combos of ace queen suited.
Hmm.
Uh,
There's
right.
one.
So,
There's one
oh,
because we
right. I'm
have,
sorry. You have the other
yeah,
queen. Right. Yeah. So the value range is pretty thin, but I mean, historically, when I've faced these lines where it's like, man, like there's not that many bluffs and it's not that much value either. It's pretty hard to have something. Usually they find a way to have the hand.
yes, that is, yeah. Yeah, and so this is one where I end up calling the turn here. And yeah, my thought is like, okay, well, I listed out the value on the flop. And in a weird way, the ace is like perfect in the sense that now there's only one combo of ace queen suited and three combos of pocket aces.
Mhm.
And
Is
but
there
also it's like the worst card too. I don't know. Like
I mean, after calling the turn, is there any river you're going to be folding then after you make the decision to call in the turn? I mean, at this point, oh God, he does fold. I can tell already. I might have just folded the turn then, but go ahead.
I know. Well, I would say like if the 8 of hearts comes in on the river, that actually is like that one makes perfect sense to fold.
Okay.
I
So
will
what? I
say
mean,
that
maybe the king even, despite making two pair, you're not up
yeah,
against a one pair value bet and Jack 10 arriving. I mean, to me, it
yeah,
feels like Jack 10 is kind of one of the most plausible hands that you could see that doesn't beat you here.
yeah. No, totally. Or like again, like the non all in sizing makes it feel like he either has the hand or he has a bluff that's so low equity that he actually can fold if I go all in a
Right, but
way.
what are those hands? And
King
how
10
likely
of
are
spade,
they?
like, yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know. And also I've played a ton with this player online, and I tend to think of him like he probably historically has underbluffed a bit, but also I know he's like I think he's gotten better over time too.
What did the river end up coming?
The river was the 9 of hearts, which again is interesting because it
Super
brings in
interesting.
the backdoor flush, but it also now there's only one combo of pocket nines. But and the thing, this is where it's so stupid. It's like usually in this spot, we would have a ton of money back. He jams for like quarter pot here, which is it's like I'm getting 5 to 1. And I mean, I'll just say what happened is like I was just like so confused and I was like basically randomizing it and then I timed out anyways and I'm like, cool, like I'm sure I was beat there, but also it feels so stupid that I folded to 1/4 pot on the river when I was like it's like all the hands that I was afraid of on the flop, the turn and river like cut down on those combos significantly. So it's like either you
Yeah.
just had pocket aces the whole way or I got bluffed or I could have backdoored hearts with like anyways, yeah,
Yeah.
such a
I
weird
mean,
one.
I
That is a
don't
weird one.
I don't really mind like the idea of calling turn folding to further regression on river as a general concept. I think the sort of conventional wisdom of like if you call the turn you have to call the river can be a bit overblown in certain
Mhm.
cases because like right your range gets constricted. Like you do have some hands that fold. If you are never going to call one street or call the turn and fold the river, then I mean I guess if your opponent never stops betting once they've shown
Yes.
aggression, then you should never do that because you're just burning money unless you're priced in. But yeah, I mean, I don't particularly mind the river fold. It's not like a spot where you can sort of be easily exploited or whatever. I mean, you have the
I
fact that
have the
you have
nuts
ace
I
queen
have
off
Yeah.
in your range should
yeah,
be, a lot of protection
yeah.
against getting bluffed in this case.
Yeah, and I mean, I obviously have ace, ace, and queen, queen. I
For
have,
sure.
king, queen of hearts, like
True.
yeah.
Yeah. King Jack of
It's
Hearts
hard
maybe.
it's hard for me to get here with a hand that doesn't just snap call river
Right.
for
Which
this
is
price, so it's like
usually, yeah, a
yeah,
strong
like
indication that your opponent's not bluffing
Yeah. I'd say
yeah,
probably the
if they're a good
strongest.
hand reader.
Yeah.
like, I could maybe have king, jack of hearts too,
Hmm.
and it's like, how could I possibly show up here with a hand that isn't calling the quarter pot jam? So yeah, I think I mean, obviously, I only need to be right, like, 1 out of what, I'm getting 5 to 1, so 1 out of 6 times.
Hmm.
So clearly, I think I'm usually beat here. It's just kind of a question of how often, and we'll never really. Actually, I could ask him. Maybe he remembered. Like
Oh,
I
you have you can message him.
I actually, yeah, he's. I guess in our Discord
Oh,
as
okay.
well.
Well,
Yeah, ask him for the pod. I mean, let's
yeah.
get
Yeah.
the viewers, the listeners,
Oh, after this,
some
I'm for
insight.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do that. Do that, Wes, for sure. Any
Yeah.
last thoughts on that hand before we move on to some questions?
I just think it's hard to find the bluffs, really, and I
Mhm.
think probably a good fold.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the timeout helped you, make an incorrect decision as well.
Yeah.
Think about it a little bit more.
Yeah.
So again, thanks for going over those hands with us, Andrew. Really
Yeah, for sure.
appreciate that. We do. So before we start wrapping up here, we typically with our guests go over some Discord questions that our members have for you.
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
We have a few of them here. First one is going to be from Arlo. And first off, I want to give a big shout out to Arlo. He's a Minnesota guy where we're from. And he actually had an incredible Sunday where he got second in the 218 600K, I want to say. It was a progressive bounty, or what was that? Mystery bounty, Wes?
Yep.
Do you remember?
Yeah, it's a PKO.
PKO. And
it's like there's a bunch of flights throughout the week, and then day 2 was Sunday, and he got
on Club WBT Gold, I think, right?
Yep. Yeah.
So
got second. It was 40K plus 5K or 8K in bounties, something like that.
Let's go, Arlo. That's what's up.
Yeah.
And he also got second in it was like the Sunday 28
it's like
another
100K.
PKO.
Yeah.
Yeah, he scooped 15K for second place in that. So he had over a 60K Sunday.
Wow.
So congrats
awesome.
to Arlo.
Yeah.
So and that is where my opinion recently was like, okay, I've been dabbling with the idea, but I actually really need to learn these PKOs better.
Oh, here we go.
So
Arlo asks, I'm curious what motivates him in poker. Why does he choose to play poker over pursuing more conventional income streams? What does poker give him that these other routine jobs don't? What are the downsides to playing poker in this capacity?
Yeah, really good questions. So, when I first got into poker, I came from a gaming background. Like I played games all throughout my childhood. I mentioned I played some sports, but I mostly played games, whether it was board games, video games, computer games. I was big into like the Blizzard world. So I
Yes,
played
sir.
Diablo, StarCraft, Warcraft, World of Warcraft. And then when I found poker, I was like, oh, this is a game and I can make money at it. So I was immediately drawn to it for those reasons, and especially the time in which I found it, sort of like as high school was ending, and I was starting to, really need to figure out like what am I going to do with my life. It just kind of made sense. Uh, and then as I've gotten older, I have had interest in pursuing other things in life, and um, I guess the idea of conventional income streams is typically associated with lower risk activities
Yeah.
because poker obviously has fair bit of volatility to it. But yeah, I just still really love playing, and I think that's what motivates me more than anything. Is just I find the game fun. It always pushes me to become a better version of myself. I'm always learning about where my um, conception of reality is accurate and where it's inaccurate, and where my knowledge base or my abilities, are doing me well, or where they can be improved. And then you also just meet a lot of fascinating people playing poker. Like the experience outside of the actual strategic part of the game is just genuinely fun. But yeah, I am interested in other things in life, and I don't have any like particular goals within poker, like another trophy or whatever. It just doesn't have like kind of the same impact that it does at an earlier part in my career. So did I answer that question, or is
No,
something any part I left out?
no, for
yeah,
sure.
that seems good.
Yeah.
I mean, it again, something I relate with where my motivations have changed over time, for sure.
Mhm.
For sure. I actually have a bit of a spin on that question too. Is like maybe for someone who is considering playing full time, I don't want to speak for Arlo, but he very well may be, especially after those scores and just how seriously he's taken the game as long, the last couple of years I've known him. What kind of things would you consider if you were deciding whether or not to pursue it full time today? And maybe you already have a
Mm.
full-time job, but you're considering making that transition.
Yeah, I mean, the thing I tell everyone who asks me that question is just if you love poker and you're being very honest with yourself about that and not just looking at what the potential financial upside is, then it might be a good decision for you. But it is such a deeply personal choice, right,
Hmm.
to pursue poker as a profession, um, that you really just have to kind of spend the time with yourself to be honest and ask, like, am I doing this for the right reasons? Do I just feel like it's going to be convenient? Um, in the short term, obviously
Hmm.
when it's blue skies and you're running hot and things are going well, like
Easy.
yeah, anyone can be a poker pro.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
But
Yeah.
facts.
it's when those when you run up against the parts of yourself that are causing you conflict or downswings or what have you, that's where if you don't really love it, really it's going to be really challenging. But if you love it, then you can kind of take it in stride and be like, okay, this is part of a process, and I'm learning and growing and evolving, and I'll be better next time I, um, you know, end up in a similar situation. So, yeah, I think that's the most important thing is just like, and this relates to a larger sort of philosophical view I have on life in general is I think life is meant to be fun and like you should pursue things for their own sake, not necessarily because of what you think you're going to get
Yeah.
out of them. And I think that there's a sort of perspective in maybe it's more of a Western thing. I'm not really sure, but uh, I think it just exists in our society at large where, like, oh, do the thing that you don't like so you can do the thing that you like later. I think that's kind of a trap. I'm not
Hmm.
really a big fan of
Wes and
that
I
because
both agree with you on that.
Yeah.
yeah, that's cool. And that makes sense. I mean, we
Yeah.
have kind of similar vibes, so
Yeah.
it makes sense to me that
Yeah.
you would also see things that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, and I literally said on stream last night because someone was talking about someone in my comment section was saying like how you know he doesn't think he plays a lot of poker. He's in college and he's really smart guy, and he's like I could never see myself doing it full time because it's like just because of the landscape, the risks associated with it, regulations and stuff. And I'm like, I feel like if that's the way you're thinking about it, you just shouldn't even like if poker's something, if you treat it like let's say you go to a job fair and you're taking notes about the pros and cons of it. It's like if that's how you view poker, it should just be a no from the get-go. Like it has to be the passion for it. And I would say,
Yeah,
in relation to what we said earlier, like it is kind of an intuitive thing or you you have to have the feeling for it before you even like, you have to know it's right for you and then just kinda dive into it.
Yeah.
yeah. I mean,
And
ideally, you want to be naturally drawn to it.
yes, yeah. Because I don't think professional poker is the right thing for anyone who's not, like, deeply invested in it, whereas I think a lot
For
of
sure.
people, have jobs that they can be pretty successful at, even if it's not, like, their passion in a
Yeah, I
way.
mean, I guess like with a career, sort of the idea is you're gonna commit yourself to it on most, if not all days. So if you don't really love it and enjoy it, I don't know, it's kind of like why you're doing it, Like life's not that long. Like go find something you do like and do yourself the service of enjoying your experience. And it's gonna be better for the people that you interact with
Oh,
because you're gonna be a better version of yourself. It's just gonna be better for everyone.
and yeah, and
Totally.
specifically just for yourself and your overall happiness. I'm,
Yes.
for me personally, Wes plays poker professionally, um, as his living. I have lots of different things I do. I'm a realtor by profession. I play poker. I work for Medtronic. Um, for me personally, like I knew that I couldn't go through the ups and downs of poker and be a happy person constantly. I needed to indulge in these different things to kind of keep myself happy. So I admitted that to myself quickly and invest my time into all these different things. And just to kind of go on without me rambling is just embrace that. Be honest with yourself.
Totally. And
Mhm.
that's smart. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? I'm not gonna. We have a good amount of questions, but just for this time's sake here, we'll go ahead and end it with this one. This is for all the fathers out there. uh, this comes from our buddy Louis Hillman. He says, with Andrew just having his first kid, how does he envision that changing his life poker balance? And does he think he'll still be playing professionally in 10 years?
It's a great question. Will I still play professionally in 10 years? I'm not sure. I mean, I think a lot of it will come down to like how much the other things that I care about and have put time and energy into
Hmm.
uh, will will be, like how impactful or significant they'll be in my life. Um, I've always really enjoyed coaching. I've always had a passion for education and like health and wellness. And I want to do more live workshops in that space because I've done a number of live kind of like advanced tournament mastery type workshops. And pretty much every time the people that have showed up, like they are interested in getting better at poker, don't get me wrong, but more than anything, they just want to have fun. They want to have a good experience. They almost want like a summer
Hmm.
camp type of experience.
Yeah.
And
Interesting. Okay.
I'm totally capable of putting that on. I just haven't done it because I don't think myself or the organizers of people I worked with to put these events on kind of recognize that that's what people want. But I feel pretty strongly that that's what people want, and that's definitely something I'm interested in doing. And I know how, it's right now it's just kind of a thought or an idea, but that type of thing can grow over time. And um, yeah, I mean, like I said, I love poker. I'll always play poker. I'm fairly sure of that. But will I always play it in the same capacity that I am now? I mean, I play less poker now than I did 2 or 3 years ago. Like, I
Hmm.
really don't play online very much, if
Hmm.
at all. Like it used to be, Sundays, it's like the day, like let's rock and roll.
Mhm.
But
Yep.
yeah, I just don't have that scheduling in my life anymore. And yeah, I'm not sure how much of it relates to having a child. I mean, she's so young right now. Obviously,
Yeah.
requires a lot of attention.
And you're new to it.
Yeah, totally. But yeah, I'm not I'm not
We'll
sure.
see. I will see, I guess. I
We
think,
will
I mean,
see.
well, let's linger on your coaching for a second. I mean,
Hmm.
this might be a great place for you to spend some, I mean, working with others and helping others is obviously a great way to evolve your poker, not evolve your poker game, but to evolve from poker into something else that you might love doing. Is that
Totally.
you mentioned you really love coaching? What are you doing for coaching now? Is there maybe more events that you're going to be having coming up, or what can people, if they want to get coaching from you, how can they get involved in that?
Yeah, so I'm launching a website, LuckyChewy.com,
Okay.
and I've sort of never put that much time and energy into structuring my coaching. It's sort of always been something where, like I play poker first and foremost, and then people hit me up every now and again to get coaching, and I'm always happy to do it because it's just fun to help people, and if they're interested, I'm happy to help them out. Uh, but then I kind of realized like, well, I'm traveling less, I'm not playing online. Like, if I want to build something here, I probably should take it a bit more seriously. So yeah, I'm putting that website out. Haven't really announced it, so I guess this is like the
This is it.
inaugural announcement of it, which is cool.
Yeah.
And
LuckyChewy.com.
yeah, luckychewy.com.
Do you have
All
an
right.
expected release date for that?
No, I mean I'll just tweet it out at some
Okay.
point. And
Keep it keep an eye on his Twitter. Is it at Lucky Chewy, your Twitter? I forget.
yes,
It is.
yeah,
Okay. If you guys don't already follow, which you probably do, make sure to keep an eye on that for that.
yeah, thanks. And something else that I'm interested in that I've done a small amount of so far is like private or corporate speaking events. Had a
Hmm.
lot of fun just connecting with different business folks and sharing my story. And obviously, poker has a lot of overlap with business generally and decision making and risk and all that. So yeah, I
I
mean,
think
I
that's a
guess
great overlap.
yeah, it is. And again, it's just a lot of fun. Like people just they love it, and I'm happy to share it. It's fascinating and it's a very unique experience. I guess I didn't realize how much of a credential succeeding in poker in the high stakes sort of niche over a long time frame really is. And when I started to recognize that, I was like, huh, why don't I connect with these other circles, the other industries? Um, and I guess if I'm not playing professionally in 10 years, it's probably going to be a result of, something having taken off along these lines.
Mm.
But I do still really like the feeling of sitting down and being locked in and getting in that flow state and kind of knowing that like you're the guy to beat in a way. Like I like
Hmm.
that feeling.
I love that. And
Sure. Yeah.
maybe some of these corporate circles will open. I mean, if you end up doing stuff like that, just more doors that open up to you. Might find new passions there as well.
For sure. Yeah, I'm just kind of putting it out there because Yeah, I think it's of interest to some people, and if those people hear it and reach out, then
Okay.
yeah, it's the
Awesome.
best way to do it.
We have a reoccurring question on this podcast. We ask every guest on here, and I really look forward to your answer. Whether it doesn't have to be intricate or anything like that. Just from off the top of your head, is poker an art or is it a science?
Great question. I mean, I've actually asked many people in my life this question, many high stakes players, and I think the politically correct answer is that it's both. But
Yeah.
I think of it more as an art, because
Mhm.
I think even science is kind of an art. I think of life as an art in many ways, because there's just so many different ways to pursue the same situation, so many different perspectives that you can have. And I just love that feeling of creativity and imagination and innovation when I'm playing. And even though, like you mentioned earlier, a lot of time you're a lot of times you're playing, you're making like quote unquote standard choices. And I think that's something that might get overlooked in some cases where I use chess as an analogy for this. Like even the most kind of crazy romantic era players, like the Mikhail Tals and the Morphys and stuff,
Yeah.
they still understood the basics, right? You have to know how to play solid in order to be able to make those crazy plays work for you. So, yeah, where was I going with that? I guess as much as you, yeah, I completely
I
lost
lost you.
track of that
Well, it's
thread,
just
but
it's just that them using the art, using it, having the basics, but kind of maybe being creative in their own way to add their own style to what is the basic science of it, maybe.
yeah, and I guess it goes back to the same idea that we are talking about earlier with like playing to your strengths and figuring out like what is the way that you want to express yourself. Oh,
Yeah.
this is what I was going to say. Like um, even currently in poker and in high stakes, there's a lot of people that are pursuing poker through a roughly similar lens, but the way they express that ends up being quite different because of who they
Mm.
are and what makes them unique. And I think that
Oh,
that to me is one of the things that sort of solidifies poker as more of an artistic endeavor in my mind.
I love that. So they bring, I mean, even though they're all, like you said, they're going through the study and stuff through the same lens, they all bring different colors to what is otherwise like a, black and white.
Yeah,
That's
and the way
really
that they execute
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, and you can see it. You can see sort of the opposite in like people who are they're kind of trying to be up and coming grinders, like they haven't quite gotten it yet, and it's like it feels like they're more trying to imitate what they think someone else might. Someone like you, Andrew, who would they might try and imitate you or a Chidwick or whoever, and it's like it's more just about understanding the why, but then, like you said, you know, you playing to your own strengths.
Totally. You
Um,
really have to make it your own.
yeah.
And I think that idea of like, oh, what would this person who, maybe I respect or has done this for a while, what would they do here? That can be powerful as a way to kind of get you going, but you do have to ultimately kind of make it your own thing that you feel comfortable with and that makes sense to you. And the idea of like copycatting ideas, um, yeah, I just think ultimately it's a bit lackluster in comparison.
Okay.
Mhm.
Yeah, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us here today, Andrew. It's been honestly a great pleasure to have someone like you on here and breaking down hands with us and just talking about intuition, luck, all these cool things that are just interesting part of the games of or an interesting part of the game of poker. Are there any last things you'd like to maybe share with our audience before we wrap this up?
Um,
You'd
no, I'm
mentioned,
just glad Suited
yeah,
Kings made a comeback in the last couple of years as a hand class, and
yeah,
I'm looking
That's
forward
what
to
made it
the
perfect too.
yeah. It all
yeah
worked out. The King Six of Spades. I love
yeah I'm
it.
looking forward to the recognition and respect that Suited Queens will eventually get in the times to come.
I love it. Thank you so
Oh
much
man.
again for everything. And Andrew, and thanks again for being a part of the 100th episode of this. This is honestly, it's a milestone for us. And we look forward to dropping the 1,000th episode one day. Thanks for being a part of it.
Awesome. Yeah, it's a pleasure and an honor. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, guys. Hope you enjoyed this episode. We will see you next week on the next episode.